There. Okay. Recording. So, welcome, dear, dear viewers. I'm welcoming. My name is Uma Dinsmore-Tuli, and I'm recording this interview with Josna Pankhania for the Yoni Shakti, the movement Facebook group, and others who may have an interest in knowing about recent updates to the Satyananda Ashram survivors' experiences in Australia, and also a little update on our campaign, which is crowdfunding to run a public awareness campaign to eradicate the abuse of women in yoga and to reclaim yoga for its rightful place as a tool for healing, justice and freedom. So in the nature of the work which Josna here has been doing for a good long while now, endeavoring to get proper restoration and reparations for the survivors of the abuses in the Satyananda ashrams in Australia is an ongoing project. And what I've asked for Josna today to do is to give us an update on the situation that really tracks right back to 2014, when the Australian government instituted a Royal Commission of Inquiry into institutional responses to child sexual abuse. And what happened after that was that when all the evidence was revealed, all the organizations who had been investigated were invited to step forward to be part of a redress scheme, a national redress scheme, in order to have reparations and restorative justice for the survivors. The Satyananda ashrams chose not to be part of that redress scheme, and there have been recent rebrandings and like revisioning, remaking of the brand, so they can kind of carry on a little bit like business as usual, which doesn't sound to me like it's a very fair or just thing to do. So Josna, over to you. Could you explain what has happened? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, first of all, Uma, for this opportunity to share this really important development that's occurring within Australia at the moment. And I particularly would like to salute your 3,000 plus members and acknowledge their commitment. And I would like to offer my gratitude to the energy that they have expressed and I've witnessed in the last few weeks. So I would like to talk about, just give a little bit of an overview so that some people that missed the last interview, just to explain the background. The Australian government in 2014 instituted a royal commission which examined institutional responses to historical cases of child sexual abuse. They wanted to know what it was that resulted in this abuse occurring. In what ways did the institutions fail? And it was across the board: churches, boarding schools, and one of the organizations that was examined was Satyananda Yoga. There were serious testimonies against 5 of the leaders of Satyananda Yoga. There was a testimony against Satyananda Saraswati, the founder. There was a testimony in relation to Niranjan Saraswati, the current head. Testimony against Akhandanand, who was sent by Satyananda Saraswati to Australia to head the ashram. And there were testimonies against Shishyananda and Acharya Gorakhnath Saraswati. 5, and he's an Acharya, so 5 senior leaders, including the founder and the current head. Yeah. The response of the head office, the base, was noted by the Royal Commission that the current head did not respond to the testimonies against the founder or against himself. He only limited his response to Akhandanand and Shishi. What he also did was he cut ties with the Australian ashram, which was set by the founder. the Royal Commission acknowledged that the founder had overarching responsibility of the ashram, and yet the current head said it had nothing to do with us, and he cut ties with Australian ashram. And in this way, he turned his back against, to the survivors, 11 survivors that gave testimonies. He did not address their pain, their hurt, and said to the Australian ashram, you deal with it.
Yeah.
Well, the Australian ashram could not turn their back at that time, so they paid compensation to the survivors. They did that in a very, in a way that hurt the survivors, because it was a very challenging legal process that the survivors had to go through. So it was re-traumatizing. And at the time, they also said that they only had a limited amount of money. It so transpires that they actually have now several million worth in assets. But anyway, so they gave what many feel was begrudgingly the compensation. And because Niranjan Saraswati, the current head, said, cut the ties, do not use the name Satyananda, they rebranded and called themselves the Academy of Yoga Science.
The Academy of Yoga Science.
So the Academy of Yoga Science. I mean, what a lofty name for an organization that has been utterly lacking in compassion. Begrudgingly making the compensation payments and saying, we have dealt with this matter, we have nothing else to do. There was not a compassionate healing reparation process. Even though people offered to carry that out and facilitate it, they never took that up. So because people stopped going to the ashram, they had no choice but to sell it, and now they have sold all the assets, the land, the buildings, and they have now created a foundation, Well-Being Foundation. Now, Uma, I think I'd like you, Well-Being Foundation. Whose well-being is it? That is the critical question. It's certainly not the well-being of the survivors, and it's not the well-being of all those that have been harmed collaterally. That is a huge group that is suffering collateral damage.
Yeah, and can I point, I feel you've articulated this really clearly in the articles that you've written about it, that there was a culture of silence around what happened, so that basically nothing has changed. All the things that were pointed out in the investigations to do with systemic problems, abusive behaviors that are built into the way the whole place runs, none of that has changed. They've just changed the name of the place. Yeah, that's what I'm understanding.
The authoritarian, dictatorial processes I have experienced in my communications with them to try and facilitate positive change, and the authoritarian, dictatorial response that I have experienced has been that they don't, they give cease and desist letters if you question them, and furthermore what they do is they stop communicating with you. They have given the silent treatment to many people that have written. So this is not the way that the Royal Commission said that an organization should address this matter. In any case, now they have
because they had a specific,
now they have set up.
Sorry.
They have set up the foundation, Well-Being Foundation, and they have refused to join the National Redress Scheme. Now, this is very, very serious and important message that I would like your 3,000 members to know. Not joining the redress scheme is serious. The government has said all institutions, particularly those that have been examined in the Royal Commission, must join the redress scheme. There is this this audacity that we witness, which results in an organization saying, well, we have paid the compensation, we're not going to join the redress scheme. The point of joining the redress scheme is that those that have been compensated through the redress scheme have the potential to claim further.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lives have been damaged. People are still traumatized. Why begrudge them making a second claim if they so need it? Some of them have got serious medical conditions.
Yeah.
Okay, the level of trauma that has been inflicted by young women being sexually abused on a regular basis was horrendous. The damage has been profound, and yet these leaders have said that we have done enough, we are not joining the redress scheme. It is appalling. What kind of well-being are they proposing through their foundation? Yeah. What they want now is people to apply to join them, join their board. Okay. So there's an expression of interest, and also what they have.
For this is to join the Well-Being Foundation. So
to join the Well-Being Foundation.
You mean yoga practitioners or yoga schools or yoga teachers?
Yoga schools and yoga practitioners, people that have skills to support their well-being foundation. The other thing that they have said they will do is, from this money that they have scooped from the blood, sweat, and tears of disciples and survivors, they have scooped that money and they have decided, we will decide what we'll do with it, and we will give it, you know, the interest they're going to give to organizations. Now, this is very concerning, Uma, because by inviting people to join their foundation, they are legitimizing their shambolic performance, shambolic in that they haven't done any proper reparation process. It has been a begrudging throwing of some, money, not human, caring, nourishing, nurturing reparations. I have offered to facilitate that, help to facilitate. I'm one of those, I can do that, I'm qualified facilitator. They didn't allow it. They just shut the door on that. So there's a group of us now, Uma, we're going to boycott, we're starting a campaign to boycott this foundation, alerting people that an organization that refuses to join the National Redress Scheme is not worthy of joining. And it's not worth taking their money either. The boycott is going to argue two things. Please be careful before you join this organization, and please be careful that if they offer you money, don't accept, because in that process, further damage is being done. It's a very sophisticated way of changing history and rewriting history.
Yeah, it's like changing the stripes.
They have 3 directors, Uma, 2 men and 1 woman director that are making this decision. The 2 male and the woman director, Yoga Australia registered teacher, had not acknowledged the case study of the Royal Commission on her profile. What kind of leadership is that? I lodged a grievance against her not acknowledging the Royal Commission and the survivors, and instead of saying, oh, I'm sorry, that was my mistake, the profile has disappeared from Yoga Australia's Facebook website. So these are the strategies that are used to perpetuate an autocratic, authoritarian model patriarchal model headed by two men and a woman who hasn't even had the ability, the foresight to acknowledge the survivors on her profile, yoga teacher's profile page.
So can I be clear that what this new Wellbeing Foundation is offering grants or money to people to join them? Is that how it's working?
They're doing two things. One is that they're inviting people to join their committee.
Okay.
And the other is they will be making donations to organizations. It's a way of buying organizations into a cover-up. And I will say it's a cover-up because so many things have not been addressed yet. They have said that we have a no guru policy. Okay, that's not enough. Structural changes that the Royal Commission has advocated need to be made. Yeah. And you cannot operate as an organization by not answering to people that write to you, that question you and say, why are you not joining the redress scheme? So many people have written and they have not replied. That is not a way of operating.
And it sounds to me as if it's like there are two levels of the rebrand. First, it's no longer Satyananda Yoga, it's the Academy of Yogic Science. And now it's not even the Academy of Yogic Science, it's a separate foundation. So the likelihood is they're kind of hoping nobody will be able to follow their tracks. We'll see this new foundation and go, oh yeah, well, they're offering money, they want my skill. And so there may be yoga teachers and yoga practitioners in Australia. I'm calling out to our Australian sisters and allies and brothers there. Be aware that they're launching this thing that sounds as if it has no connection to Satyananda Yoga, but in fact what it is rooted in exactly the same abusive structures and behaviors, even the very foundation of it, that was criticized and investigated back in 2014 for all these long, systemic abuse that had been happening for years. So it's as if they're trying to hide their traces. And I have to point out, like, part of what we're doing with our group, the reason I think so many people have stepped forward, like over 3,000 people have joined the Yoni Shakti, the movement Facebook group since we started only a couple of weeks ago. Like, it's a drawn in fast because people come from all over the world and all these different yoga traditions and organizations. And that process of hiding your tracks or obfuscating your connections to a lineage that's been proven to be abusive is something that you see happening. So with the Atman Federation, they've got the same kind of thing. Everybody knows about the big guru who's been convicted of sex crimes in Romania, but nobody realizes maybe that Tara Yoga in London, or that Nati Yoga in Denmark, or that Mahavidya Yoga, what a travesty, calling it after the Mahavidyas. Anyway, it's not an unusual strategy to put out lots of different little names so that nobody can see the connections. And it sounds to me as if this is part of it. So I just want to call out a big awareness that, if you're approached by, or you see publicity coming out from the Wellbeing Foundation, which sounds very benign, it sounds so kind, but it's exactly,
it's absolutely, yeah.
It's the same people, the same organizations, and they have not actually addressed any of the issues that were revealed in 2014.
They have addressed some. I think what I want to say,
okay.
Yeah. What I do want to say is that for 6 years, I've been trying to talk to them, pleading with them, begging them to do the right thing. I have now come to a point that I have no choice but to support people that want to campaign to boycott this organization. It would have been much better if we could have, I am from that organization. I am a trained teacher within that organization, and I have also taken 3 levels of initiation. So I'm part of the organization, and they've shut me out. They've shut many of us out. I'm not the only one. Instead of, we tried in so many ways to try and do this before even going public, but they only have contact with people who they believe and agree with. Anybody else is just barred, locked out.
So there's been no sense of being able to communicate to what seems to me is there's a massive missed opportunity, not just in the Satyananda organizations, but in others, a missed opportunity for real healing. So when survivors come forward with courage and bravery to speak about their experiences, and that legal process is grueling, it's hard, you know, you can see from the evidence that's up there, and it's all online, you can go and read it. It's harrowing. So it's harrowing to read. How much more harrowing is it to actually have lived those experiences and shared them? And that's why I really, you know, the testimony is the evidence. And in all these situations, whether it's with one individual guru or somebody who's spoken out, one individual teacher, or a whole organization like this, when survivors speak, our duty is to listen and to learn and to support them so that actually healing can arise. Because so much of that is kept secret for so long. When it finally comes to the surface, it's an opportunity for healing. And there are so many good-hearted people in Satyananda Yoga. I mean, you're one of them. You know, people spend a long time working in these organizations because we actually believe that it's doing good. So the place is full of people who have been betrayed, and their trust has been betrayed, an institutional level of betrayal, as well as the individual harms. And I see that happening over and over in all these, you know, abusive teaching dynamics, whether it's the one teacher or whether it's a global transnational transactional brand, you know. And that's what's, I think we have the opportunity actually when we share that understanding of the connections that we can move towards healing. So this business of calling for a boycott seems a very practical technique to actually awaken people's awareness of you know, you don't really have anything to do with this organization. It's just
we would have preferred to sit down and work something out. We could have been world leaders and shown the world that we have learned from this atrocious history. But what is now happening is, you know, a turning of history, a revision of the history being written, you know, you know, through this foundation. We could have done it better. And I want to say, Uma, we can still do it better.
Yeah. I do believe, and when you speak those words, I feel the passion, and the truth is that actually with so many people like uprising and listening in, there is still always the opportunity for healing. That you know, that actually that is still present. The will is still there to do that. And actually I feel that together that's something that we're working towards. That was the intention of this campaign, to actually, yoga itself it should rightfully be there as a tool for healing. It's a tool for justice. It's a tool for freedom. And to restore and reclaim it as that involves looking back into these histories and seeing all the Satyananda Yoga is full of these most extraordinarily valuable therapeutic practices. You know, a whole lot of my yoga therapy training was rooted in the publications and the practices of Satyananda Yoga. One of the things that people cry out about is like, oh, all those amazing books full of all those great practices, they're so helpful for humanity, they're helpful for everyone. What do? Do we burn the books? You know, we've got this treasure trove of practices that's, you know, held in these very toxic environments, so we can reclaim what there is and reclaim the relating between us. It's so important. And especially I feel, you know, as someone who's involved in that organization, and I see other people involved in the Shivananda organization and other like networks around teachers who are revealed to be abusers, that actually we still have this heart connection. I feel when I speak with you, I feel this, you know, heart connection, that people are really motivated by the highest interests of freedom and healing and justice, and actually together that's still present. It's still there. And so I honor and salute the work you're doing, and call for everyone, especially because presumably this is operating just in Australia, the idea of, you know, they're not Okay, so all our Australian yogis, we need to spread the yoginis, spread the Australian yoga grapevine and understanding of what's happened. And maybe they'll listen and say, well, actually, no. You know, if nobody's coming forward here, maybe we need to do something different, to which the answer is, yes, please.
Yeah, so on that note, Uma, I would like to say that I extend my invitation to the board of the Academy of Yoga Science and the Wellbeing Foundation. I extend my invitation to work with you. Let's work with you in an ethical, moral, and just way. Let's not turn our backs to the survivors. Let's not turn our backs to all the others that have been harmed collaterally, psychologically. Let's work together. And until you are ready to address all of that, there's a group of us that will work systematically to boycott the foundation, because the foundation is dishonest in its, in what it's trying to do.
There's a powerful message, Josna. So
and it's dishonest because they have refused to join the National Redress Scheme.
Yeah.
Joining the National Redress Scheme would be the honest, compassionate thing to do. Honest because it acknowledges that there could be other survivors that haven't come forward yet. We cannot shut the door on them.
No, because this went on for years and years. So it's very likely that, and it takes a long time sometimes for people even to have the courage to come forward. So it's important that they join this scheme. That would change everything. If they were able to actually step forward and join that scheme, then there would be an honesty and an openness for healing for everybody involved. Yes.
Yeah, and until the Academy can do that, until the foundation can acknowledge that, we will be working towards boycotting it.
Okay, so thank you, Josna. I'm going to echo your call out.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for making the time at the end of your busy day to share this message. It's really clear. We're calling out to especially those yogis and yoginis in Australia, but on the whole global web, is to be fully aware of this process, so that actually until that the Academy of Yogic Science and its Wellbeing Foundation, it's actually address and with honesty and willingness to join the National Redress Scheme, then I think a boycott is well in order, you know. But the option for support, that supporting healing work, is there. You can hear it. So I really hope you're listening up. I hope they get to listen, and I hope everybody who's listening who can do anything about this to help. We'll post the link to the Reveal the Truth page above Satyananda Yoga, and I invite people to see what's going on there and comment and offer support, and also for us all to work together in a powerful web. I think we have the largest web in the world. We're very good networkers, the yoginis, so let's get on the case. And in the meantime, whilst we're still running our crowdfunding campaign, I invite everyone to share our link to the Yoni Shakti the movement.com. That's the URL, because we're running until the 5th of June. That campaign will be running to raise funds to launch a huge education and public awareness campaign addressing exactly these kinds of issues. So together I feel we're powerful, and together we can work to reclaim yoga as a tool for healing, planetary healing, justice and freedom. Thank you so much, Josna.
Thank you. Thank you.
To speak with you, and I'm going to stop our video now, and we'll be able to post it and share it with everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We can take action, and we hope everybody is paying attention. Thank you very much. This is the end of the meeting. With great respect and love, I honor my heart, my inner teacher, and she whose body is the earth, we honor her. Honor her. Jagadambe Mata Ki Jai. I'm ending the meeting. There we go. That's it.